Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got an interesting question here about being lazy once you don't have to work. So this question comes from Adam, and he says, hey John, I met you at the Pluralsight Author Summit a while back, and we briefly chatted about internet marketing. Good times. Anyway, I noticed that you've been at your business ventures for a long time and have had a lot of success. I'm just starting, so far between my writing, Pluralsight courses, and other business ventures, I've actually built up more money in the bank than I've ever had before, which is 7 months of living expenses. All right, cool. I'm finding that the drive I used to have to really succeed has somewhat waned. I keep thinking to myself, between my existing income and my passive income streams, that I don't have to work as hard as I once did, so I'm not. It's nice that I have the flexibility, but at the same time, it's an obvious detriment to my continuing success. Do you ever feel like this? If so, how do you overcome it? Adam. So Adam, this is a great question. I think this is something that a lot of people that end up having any level of success struggle with. And I'll tell you, it's kind of interesting. I've found that in life that it's easier to go up a hill or down a hill, but it's really, really hard to stay on the plateau. And once you get there, right, to maintain. Maintenance is the hardest thing. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's climbing the corporate ladder in your career, that it's easier, even though it's more of a fight, but it's easier to motivate yourself to do that. If you're going downhill, that's real easy. You could ride the sled downhill, right? If you think about fitness, right? A lot of people, I've experienced this myself. You go on a diet, you lose weight, you're on a program, and when you hit your goal, it's really hard to maintain. That's where people gain the weight back, right? It becomes really hard to maintain. So, and you'll see this in professional sports, right? The champion, the boxing, right? Goes to the top, works their way up. When they get to the top, they start getting lazy. They don't fight as hard, and they lose it, and then and they have to start over again. So you got to avoid this, and here's the way to avoid this. So we'll talk about kind of the boxing analogy here. So you got to remember that every day someone is coming for your title. that every single day you have to regain the title. It's not yours. You get the victory once, but when you wake up in the next morning, you're zero again. You got to start over. You got to earn it again. I like this quote. Every day the battle begins anew. And that's what you got to really conceptualize in your mind. You never can rest on your laurels. That's what so many people, they get to the top, they rest on their laurels, and they see a fall. You got to be fighting, and you got to be fighting to keep climbing, to keep getting better. This is another reason why, I did a video on don't compare yourself to others. Compare yourself to yourself, to who you were yesterday, to who you were the day before, the month before, the year before. That's what you really want to do. And so you're always competing. There's always another level to reach, because you can never get there. And that's the whole part of the whole journey of life. The whole part of it is that you realize that you're never going to get there. So for now, taking this back to the financial aspect, or how do you work so hard if you don't have to work anymore? The whole thing here is that you do have to work, because your goal isn't just to hit some financial number. It's to keep on improving, to keep on getting better every day, and to realize you should always think that every step of the way, whatever you earn, whatever you get, there's always a pack of hungry dogs chasing you down and ready to take it from you. Because it really is true in life and in reality. No matter, you can never be so secure, right? There's a story in the Bible where it talks about storing up grain, right? In the storehouse, this rich man, and he's trying to get his security, and it's never going to happen. So you can't be chasing after total security. I did another video about inner security. It's the only security that you can truly have, and that you can develop and build. But as far as financial security, you're never secure. There's always someone wanting what you have and gonna take it from you unless you're willing to fight for it. And the only way that you're going to be prepared is if every day you wake up and you fight the battle anew. Every day you say, I can't rest on my laurels. Where I was yesterday, I'm starting over from zero today. I have to re-earn it every single day. And that's the attitude that you have. You can never get to that point where you feel like you're reaching the end. There's no finish line. It's all about the journey. So yeah, and I've struggled with this myself, Adam. Definitely, I've had this idea. Again, I'm going to point to a lot of videos in this one, but I did a video on I was talking about David Data's book called The Way of the Superior Man, and in this video I talked about this misconception I had in the very first chapter of the book about waiting for things to be finished, and that was how I lived my life. But I don't live my life that way anymore, and that's the key, is that you stop waiting for things to be finished. It's never going to be finished. You realize it's always a continual journey. You're always giving your gifts, and when you live that way, then you don't have this problem, and you're ready to fight every day, because fighting is what it's about. It's about that climb. It's never about reaching the plateau. It's just like the gold at the end of the rainbow. It's not, no matter how far you go, you're never going to reach it, but it's the journey to get there that counts. So, and if you did reach it, you'd be unhappy. So anyway, thanks, Adam. Great question. If you have a question for me, email me at john@simpleprogram.com. And if you like this video, subscribe. Take care.